All right, now we are going to be working on manipulating equations and then graphing them. We are going to be working with our y equals mx plus b form. Do you remember what form this one is? This is called our slope-intercept form, where remember m is equal to the slope of the line and b is equal to the y-intercept. All right, so the first thing that we need to do is we have this equation and we need to make sure that this equation matches this form. So we have our steps over here. The first way that we're going to do that is we're going to move the y term to the left side of the equation. Well, when you look here, you see that our y term is already on the left side of the equation. Step 2 is to move the x term and the numerical terms to the right side of the equation. Well, we already have our numerical term on the right side of the equation, so the only thing we need to do is to move the x term over. So we're going to use addition and subtraction to move the term from side to side. So because this is a positive x, we're going to subtract it. We're going to do the opposite. Minus x here, minus x here. Our 3y comes straight down. Plus x minus x cancels out. Our equals sign comes straight down. Now we have our 15 and our negative x. Well, which order should we put them in? Well, our x term comes first and then our numerical term. So we're going to do the same thing here. So our x term comes first and then our numerical term. Okay? So now we have it in almost the right form, except we don't just have y, we have 3y. So when we look at our next step, step number 3, divide each term by the y coefficient. Now remember, each term we have is anything that is multiplied together, and our terms are connected to each other by using addition or subtraction. So we actually have 3 terms here. Do you know what they are? Our first term is 3y, our second term is negative x, and our third term is 15. So, but we are going to divide by the coefficient. The coefficient is the number in front of the y. So here, our coefficient is 3. So we're going to divide each of these terms by 3. So now, those cancel out and we're left with 1y, or just y. Now here we have negative x over 3. Well, I want it to be mx. I want my slope to be listed before my x. So really what I have is, when I have negative x over 3, really there's like a 1 here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take this x, we're going to slide this x over to the side, and we're going to put the 1/3 together, and then we're going to put the 1 after it. So this is actually equal to negative 1/3 x. Okay, so negative x over 3 is the same as negative 1/3 x. Remember, we want to separate out this fraction so that we have a separate slope. So now when we come here, that's going to be negative 1/3 x. And then here we have a positive 15 divided by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So it's going to be plus 5. So now we have our equation in y equals mx plus b form. And now it's time to graph it. Woohoo! So I'm going to get out my graph paper and I'm going to rewrite the equation at the top. So I have y equals negative 1/3 x plus 5. All right. So my m is my slope, and my b is my y-intercept. Can you, looking at this problem, can you identify what our slope is and what our y-intercept is? Our slope is a negative 1/3, and our y-intercept is 5. And knowing these two pieces of information now, we can graph. So we're going to look at the graph. And with b equals 5, we're going to start at 0 on the y-axis, and we're going to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where we're going to put our dot. Okay? And now we're going to be using our slope to find our next point. So our rise is -1, so we're going to go down 1. And our run is 3, so we're going to go over 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to plot that point. We have 2 points now, so we can draw a line. I like to do a second point just to make sure that my line is a little bit more straight rather than not. So I'm going to go down again and then over 3. Now, one way to check this is to make sure that as I'm going from left to right, because I have a negative slope, my line should be going down. And when I look at this, as I go from left to right, it's not going down. Sometimes people make the mistake of going back and then to the left on a negative, and then when you look from left to right, you would see that your line is going up. So remember, on negative slope, only one of your either your rise or your run can be negative, not both. So now I'm going to connect these dots, and there's my line. And you can see by looking at it from left to right, the slope is going down. You can see this crosses at y = 5, and you can see my slope is -1/3.